My friend Sue Lever, legendary colourist at the Weller London studio. This all looks very interesting. Do you want to tell them what you've done, Sue?
Yeah, absolutely. When I first met Daniela, she has had a full head colour for quite a long time, so just a block solid colour. She's more than happy to move away from this technique now. So what we've decided to do here is pick a focal point of the hair work, which is going to be through the front here, going across the top of the head. We've decided to use some fine slices of colour through here, combination of beige blondes, brunette blondes, and also some beautiful rich copper tones. What we're also going to do, you can see with the technique here, is it's very quick, it's very commercial, very easy to achieve, and it's called a herringbone. It actually resembles the skeleton of a fish through here, so it works with the curvature of the head beautifully. It's very simple to do. The result is going to be enhanced by this technique. We're going to see the colour sitting side by side like ribbons of colour across the head. So what I haven't actually told Danielle at this point is that we're also going to put some fern green slices in there as well.
Oh, no, you're not. Forget that.
No, but we will be adding lots of shine to the underneath perimeter as well and keeping that slightly deeper. Thank you.
So we've blow-dried Daniela's hair. We've prepared the perfect surface to work on. It's now a fantastic material to cut into. I'm not sure which one of us is more nervous, me or her.
Me.
It's probably an equal thing. Very important that I get this right. So I'm going to use my dry feather technique, but I'm going to feel my way through because it's very much a visual thing. I have an idea where I want the length to stay. I've got an idea of the shape I want to make, and we're just going to kind of work it as we go. So I'm going to kick off through the back and take my first section. Now, this is where the chair shakes
Go for
with the nervous person. Taking this whole area of hair. I'm lifting it up quite high, but very clean, usual technique, and I'm just going to cut into this way, creating a feather, combing it to check it. There it is, just feathering that. And drop it to see where I'm going. Okay. That's a nice feel. It's the way we want to go. This whole area. So the point is with this technique that you really do commit yourself, but because you're using all the rules that you know, you're trusting your technical knowledge, you know your angle's correct. I'm not pulling it forward, I'm not pulling it backwards. Just coming straight into that hair, very bold. I've actually got a bigger blade this time with this haircut. And then we go, just getting into that soft feathery feeling into the neck that we talked about. Working onto the back of the ear, section to the back of the ear, very, very important in all the cutting system that we do. Picking the whole thing up, combing it, making sure that it's that grain of wood, it's like a panel of glass, making sure the direction's correct. You've always got your guide from last time, just coming in and feathering. I mean, you're better off to drop it slightly longer if you're not sure where it's going to go. Drop it and have a look. And what you can see already, and this is the incredible thing, you create this perfect graduated shape in here. Look at the beauty of that texture. Perfect feathers. Looking for the shape in there, and then I can just drop the angle down. And already it's kind of a layered graduation, but look how soft, look how perfect that is. That would take you 20 minutes with a razor to create that. Section behind the ear, virtually everything I've cut, I'm gonna just cross-check it. So you still have that discipline of the techniques you know. It's a little bit more awkward picking this up dry, but that's your practice element. Here's my shape, that's my head shape. This is slightly too heavy, so I'm just coming in, feathering. When I've got that feather that I like, that looks and feels like the right texture, if it's the right texture in my fingers, when it drops, what it will mean is it blends, so there's no steps. So it's a kind of combination of a 60s meets 80s meets now layered shape into nothing. It's echoes of the old feather haircut, hence the dry feather technique. So I'm coming to the area in front of the ear, taking a piece of hair that I've already cut as my guide. So we'll go from the back of the ear to the front hairline, picking the whole thing up. Remember the discipline, the grain of wood, like a pane of glass, picking the whole thing up and out. Now, because I'm picking it up, I can see where my front length is. If I cut to that, I'm going to retain the length at the front, but obviously I'm going to have longer graduation in the face. This is like the idea of just cutting through. So you're creating this very uneven feel through here, but I'm retaining the length. So it's just for that outline shape. Rechecking the feather. There it is. And as we keep saying, if it's a feather in your hand, it's worth two in the bush. That's not. If it's a feather in your hand, as it drops, what you create is this fantastic bevel to the head here. And look, because it's been blow dried so beautifully, I mean, that is like a mirror. Look at it. Not a suggestion of a scissor mark or a step. That's a pure grading. And with the colour that Sue put in the hair, the lights, the way it's all picking up, it's starting to just look so lovely. So I picked the whole area up from the front. Now, this is quite interesting because if you pick the whole thing up, remember we got a square kind of old bob shape at the front. If I pick this all up, you could be getting slightly nervous here because you don't really know where you're going. So as a sort of guarantee, if you just literally pick the front hairline out and leave the front corner, you can then confidently take this whole thing up, angle of the head, respect where you are, pick it all up. This is what I've already cut. There's my top length. Cut into that, make the feather. There it is. If it's looking like a good feather in the hand, just drop it. You're creating more layering, more texture, and look how beautiful it curves to the head. Now look. Look how perfect that is, look. And it just disappears into nothing. So you've just created all this texture, but you've kept all the length. And you just imagine that, a little bit of product in there, you know, how funky and modern that's going to be. But importantly, looking at the shape at the moment, you've just got a really kind of funky, chewed up bob at the moment. But what we're going to do is just come into this area a little bit freehand, keep this length, and just chop this up a little bit more. But wherever it goes, it's lovely. And I don't know any other way of guaranteeing that texture. I'm very excited by all this. And even from the front, look how sort of just uneven it is. It's lovely. It's like, it's almost this whole disconnected feeling that everybody's doing, but you can do it in one hit. You don't have to separate shots because the graduation is of such a quality that you're getting that, you know, that difference in the length. So I'm just going to take a section from this side to correspond with what I've just cut. Give myself a guide from here. Pick the whole thing up, one hit. Now, this is a key part of the haircut really, because this is going to tell you where you're going on this side. You have to remain true to the angle of the head. So when you're here, you're here, you're here, you're here. You can't afford to come this way or that way. Come this way, you're going to create a square and it's going to be 5 inches longer by the time you get to the back of the ear. Come this way and the haircut will be 6 inches shorter by the time you get to the front. There'll be no hair left. So respect the angle of the head. Find the angle of cut. You've got your guide there. Then we're going to go in and make the new feather. And just drop it. Okay, so we're going to take this section, just continuing along, like we always do. I mean, the only difference is the system of sectioning is really what we've always worked with. But the thinking obviously is different because A, we're working with dry hair, and B, we're working with much, much bigger sections and you're cutting in a different way. So, find my guide, there it is. Got to be combed perfectly, looking for that grain of wood. Just get it as beautiful as you can get it. And you come in with a feather. And there's something very satisfying as well about taking that amount of hair out. And then when we drop it, you're just making that lovely feathered shape. And all right, you can say that these ends are running into nothing, which may or may not bother you, but you're creating that classical head shape. And that's what's beautiful. And I'll continue to the back of the ear. Same idea. Nice big section to there. Pull it through and around. Remember, respect the fall of the hair. I'm going to take this whole piece up in one hit. The combing is so important. It's a bit like the old hairdressers. If you talk to the old hairdressers, they always talk about hairdressers' skill in their combing talent, which I never understood, but it certainly applies here. And there we go with a feather. Right into it. And remember the feather, it's always what's in your hand. Drop it. And it's that instant shape, look. And I mean, afterwards, obviously, we'll work around here and put in whatever shape we want to do. But you can see it's really good. And now I'm just going to cross-check this whole area. And I want to pick up as much of it in one go as I can because it's just, it will give me a better texture. The more hair you can cut in one hit, the better texture you get. There's the feather. There's the previous part I've cut. So this has got a blend. So I'll just comb that again. And comb it again to check it. So it's weird because you're still checking hair, but you're not looking for a straight line. The last thing you want is a straight line. You want that feather so as it drops, you just get this really nice layered shape. Now, also I can use my eyes here and you can look into areas. And that's why this really interests me again in cutting hair, because you have got an educated eye and you want to use your judgment and your taste. Just come in and there's my piece of weight. Look, if I take that out there, that's now, the feather's correct, and what will happen is as I drop it, that little bit of weight that was annoying me in there blends through. So, you know, I keep repeating myself, but you're applying all the old rules, and yet it's a much more feel process. You're feeling it and you're caring about it and you're looking at it, and look at the shape of that, look. I mean, that is, I'm really happy with it. I just think it's so right, and when I think about the conversations I've had with Daniela about a new haircut, it's exactly what I was trying to do. So I'm going to the section to the back of the ear this side now. Okay. Same rules apply, picking up as much as I can get in. All the guide from the previous sections. Not over-directing anything. Picking it up. Looking for that grain of wood before I commit myself. There's my guide. This is not a haircut for the faint-hearted, as you've probably gathered. Just looking for the feather in the hands. Drop it. And straight away, look. That shape in there. Look. Beautiful. Look how soft that is. Just blends to nothing. So I just want to cross-check this section behind the ear. Picking that whole area up. Much hair as I can get in my hands again. Looking for the angle. You can see where it's cut, so I can just come into this feather here, blend that, checking it again. Try and use your small teeth as often as you can because of the control element, but you might want to have to pick the whole thing up initially with the bigger teeth of the comb. Once again, we're just continuing now with the layering. We've established where the line is through here. I mean, you might miss the odd hair here and there, but it doesn't matter because we're going to kind of redo that line afterwards. But it's all about just getting that head shape. And I'm still checking what I've done in the past. You know, I mean, obviously it's not a technical haircut, but it is a technical haircut. And you might be, you know, fractions of inches out here and there, but you're bound to be. And the reason you're bound to be is just by the nature of what you're cutting. You know, you're not cutting straight lines. And every time you pick that feather up, you might see a bit more or take a bit less out. So it's a bit like, you know, if you're one of those hairdressers, a new client comes in and you go, who's been cutting your hair? Then you wouldn't be understanding what we're trying to do anyway, because it's all about the shape. I say this all the time when I worked with hairdressers. Look, a client does not walk around holding that up looking for a straight line to say, hey, haven't I got a fabulous haircut? They look at the shape and say to their boyfriend or their friend or to themselves, does my hair look nice? And that's the most important part. People aren't interested in the technique. People aren't hairdressers. People come to you because they believe you know what you're doing and they trust in you. Just like nervous Daniela did. Yeah. She is with me and she did with the bloke in Australia who cut her fringe. Going to take from the back of the ear to half of the hair that's left. See, really and truly, once you get over the shock of seeing somebody doing this, you know, it's a very straightforward technique. There's my short piece. I've cut. The angle's correct to the curve of the head. I'm coming into feather. Looking for the feather in my hand. And it's immediate, look. Just comb it. Getting all that lovely uneven area coming in. Final section at the front. Just blending that in with everything else. We've got the line, we've got the angle, we know where we are. Lift it up. Just continue that. So it's really just that front corner. Drop it. Now, this is where the visual thing is really important for you because you've got to get these lengths right. Now, you may have noticed that I just kind of played it safe there, so I'm going to go back over it again because the last thing you want to do at this point is, you know, take the angle slightly wrong and you go shorter on the side. It wouldn't be right. So I'm refeathering, just being a little bit bolder into the lengths. See that? Making more of a feather, dropping it and having a look. See, I've got the lengths. Now, I would say that my longest point is my longest point, so I'm happy. Now, what I'm going to do is just take that front area out, just so it's the very front length, and then I want to cross-check, like we've done before, for the feather. So, that's out. And this is the weight here. That piece of hair there, that's what the feather should be doing. That piece of weight there, look when I drop it where it is. That's the weight in there. So as I comb that down, that's why you haven't got that beautiful head shape. That's why you've still got the old bob. But once I take that out, you watch what happens. Looking for the feather. Cutting it into what I've got already. Comb it. Look for the feather. Now as I drop it now, that gives us all the layered texture that we're looking for and the grade, look, see? Absolutely instant. So it really couldn't be easier. It's just trusting and believing the system. And then from the front, look, matched up. I want to just check that again. There's still a little bit of a corner there, I would say. And remember, as you comb it, look at the blend. And look how serrated that edge is. Now you imagine that with a little bit of moisture in it, a little bit of product, how pronounced that's going to look. And not only have you got that, you've got all this inside too. Look. Very exciting. So the shape is finished, but obviously as you look at it, just by the nature of the feathering, you've got different lengths in. But the feeling of it, if that doesn't say feathered hair, then I don't know what does. So once again, trusting your eye, the perfect blow dry, the perfect surface, I just want to come in with the points of the scissors, using my eyes. I don't want to take away from what I've got, but I just want to make sure that when that hair is combed through and it's like the ultimate test of it, that the shape's great. And I'm just going to pull around here, just checking everything, because you will find that the graduation is so sort of infinite that you run out of hair. So anything stray you see, trust yourself, trust your eye, trust your judgment. You don't want to go into straight lines, because the value of this, look, all these people doing disconnected haircuts, I suppose we could call this a disconnected graduation. Sorry, a disconnected dry feather graduation. So I'm very happy there. Love all that. I'm just going to pull around, just checking, using my eye. You know, I could just imagine some soulless person coming along and saying, yeah, I'll even that up. We don't want to do that. So once again, just making sure everything's combed where it belongs. Everything has a place to live. There it is. Obviously the heat of the lights may start to make the hair kick a little bit, but there's not an excuse, it's just a fact. But that's okay. Just comb it round. But you can see the importance of the blow dry at this stage, because any little imperfection you'd left on the underneath would totally blow the whole thing. So I'm just looking, using mine, making sure it's even. I'm coming back a little bit to have a look at it. I know I've combed the hair in the right place. I know I can do this and trust it. Just combing away, looking again. In there, freehand. And come away from it so you can see. If you're too close, you actually don't see it. Just combing the whole thing down. Once again, look at that. Look how beautiful and soft it is. And finally, as you look at the shape, if you just feel there's any weight in it, if you feel there are areas that are too solid, you can, always, you've got your check, pick up as much as you can get, because the more you've got in the hand, the better you can see. If you're happy with that, there's nothing to stop you just coming in and pointing in if you feel there's a bit of weight. One more look. I'm happy with that feather. I think it looks fab. So there we go. We've got the shape I promised her in terms of length. I just want to have one more look in here. Final little check. I got so carried away then that I'd forgotten I haven't even cut the fringe yet. We're getting a bit too excited. So I just literally want to chop into this fringe, lighten it up a little bit. Exactly the same principle. You know, I don't like the fringe. I'm just going to try and loosen it and lighten it a little bit. Got to be very delicate. I mean, we've spoken about angles of scissors. If you cut it straight up, that's 12 o'clock on a clock face, so you won't cut anything. So you've got to kind of go to 1 or 11, but when you're cutting on such little detail, very gently, very slowly. It just can be a little touch here, just to lighten it, just to sort of blend it with everything else that we're doing. And you've just got to keep looking and checking it. Okay, well, bearing in mind we're trying to grow that fringe, so we don't really want to go crazy with it and berserk. Okay. Right, open your eyes, have a look.
Oh my God.
What do you think?
Wicked.
You like it?
Absolutely wicked.
She likes it.
Job well done.